You don't have to worry about no worries whatsoever. Yeah, they put me in the same room, so I don't have to move. I'm just gonna
That's convenient.
camp out. Yeah. Good luck on yours. You're doing the walk, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's short little slideshow over there and that classroom that maybe there's all fun and really wild.
Nice. Hey, great job on the cover. Well, it turned out beautiful.
That's for the reminder. I'm presenting later too, so I should let it for the back.
You're good. You're good. So are you driving back and forth? I'm making that.
We're in the field, so and we're hoping to draw up more reviews. Understand what our
Yeah. You've had one meeting where well, we usually go over it's already gone again. That was the wrong decision. There's parallels for you. Needs to be given down, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. You know, we have yeah. What's that? It's pretty cool. All right, guys, I have a little after one. Let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about Canvas. I know every single one of you, I think, so I don't need to introduce myself. We're gonna do a little talk about Canvas and a little demo of Canvas, and hopefully by the end of our time together, you will have enough comfort level with it to even try it, because I'm going to put out a Google form that allow you to submit a request to have a course created right now and be able to start playing. So you don't have to wait until the springtime. This is mainly actually for the undergrads courses, because the graduates are launching in January, and we're wildly already on those courses, converting them as we speak here. So what are we going to talk about? Let's see. Thinking versus feeling. That doesn't sound like a Canvas topic here. Thinking versus feeling. I think Canvas is good for the most part, and apparently you think it's good for the most part, because you all voted for that. All but one person, by the way, voted yes to move to Canvas, which you've been in these faculty meetings over the years. That's unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. So yay. So I think it's good. You think it's good. I feel that Blackboard has probably had its time. I feel excited about this change. I think it's for the good of our students and for us as instructors. Yay. I also feel terrified, honestly, and it's not because it's a bad product. It's because, I personally been working with Blackboard since 2004 when I started as an adjunct here. So that's really the only LMS I knew, and then gets sucked into the administration of it in 2007. And so I know where most of those landmines are, those skeletons, how to work around the things that don't work right. That you give me a call or shoot me an email. I usually get back fairly quickly with an answer, because I've seen that before. So that feeling I liked. I don't like the feeling of not knowing where those skeletons are and the landmines and what it doesn't do. And we've worked around software enough to know that there is no perfect piece of software. Canvas has proven to be good enough that the majority of the marketplace is now Canvas. Used to be Blackboard, but a few years ago that flip-flopped. So now Canvas dominates out there. So that's good, but it's not perfect, as we're going to discover along the way. So I don't know how that makes you feel, but it's a good feeling and a scary feeling at the same time. Behind the scenes, I've mentioned this and you've seen it on the timeline. A lot of the meetings here this January, all of the graduate courses are going to be switching over to Canvas. And you may not realize this, but your program directors or deans or others have been supplying OI, the migration team, which consists of myself, Seema Atala, Sarah Yoon, Alex Ray, and we actually commandeered Sid Schumacher from the School of Education and all. So some of you may know or may not know, he moved to Sheboygan a few weeks ago and is now a remote worker in Sheboygan and until December. And then he's going to pursue other things. But now OI, the migration part of OI, has him as well, because we are now frantically going through all of those graduate courses and converting them. And it's a great time for us because we are learning even more. The pilot we did in the spring was great because we learned a lot of stuff we would have never known unless we had people out in the field actually teaching it. And now that we're doing the conversions, we're obviously learning even more. Hopefully that information will help a lot of the undergrad instructors, because the undergrad does not have the master templates that most of the graduate programs have. We're able to control the master's process a lot easier because one course is like the next course. For those who teach in undergrad, and you've seen your colleagues' courses in Blackboard, they're all over the board. Every one of us has a different idea of what may be the best way to present information in. And so that becomes a little more difficult to do a mass template on in Canvas here. So we're going to try to prepare for that through this process, this learning process in the fall. I've already received quite a few requests. Hey, John, I've worked in Canvas in the past. It's a lot better. You don't need to convince me. Can I please just start teaching in the fall? I don't want to subject my students to Blackboard anymore. And if the behind the scenes part of it were set up, yay, I would say go forth and teach in Canvas. But right now, IT has not made any of those connections that exist with Blackboard right now to our student information system, the banner, my records. So the pilot was all a manual thing. We were creating accounts manually, creating those courses manually, dropping people manually. We can't obviously do that in mass scale manually, let alone also dividing our time with all the migration that we're doing right now. So it's nothing personal. It's literally infrastructure does not exist yet. The timeline we gave IT, and actually it's data integration services now, not the IT client side of it. We gave them the timeline, said, hey, this is when we need it live, which is January, actually before January. It's supposed to be live in November for instructors to be able to get in and actually start using their playing with their courses. And they said, fine, we're going to use the fall to create all those connections. In addition to that, to my records, a lot of you deal with publishers, right? You use Pearson and McGraw-Hill, Wiley Plus, Cengage. All those require plugins to the system, which we have had in Blackboard for many years. They don't exist in Canvas yet. So again, the data integrations team needs time to be able to make those integrations here. So that's the reason why we're not jumping right away in fall, even though it would be wonderful. We just can't support that at the moment. Terminology and layout. I'm going to now exit the presentation, and I'm going to take you through what a typical Canvas experience looks like and what it might look like for us both on the landing page and also they call it dashboard. That's first terminology. So not landing page, dashboard. And then what your course looks like now or is currently looking like, and I use the Masters of 540 course here. This is what it looks like, and I'll switch over to Canvas and show you what it now looks like when it was migrated over, not built from scratch, but migrated over. And then I'm going to show you how to do it yourself. So you can leave here today, fill out the form that's going to go in the Tech Tip Tuesday next week, and I'll create the course for you then to migrate if you'd like to play right now. Sound good? All right. Let's escape out of this here. Jump over to Canvas. And this, the URL for those who are interested in is cui.instructure.com. I wish it said canvas.com. You don't need to remember that cui.instructure.com because you're going to probably access it from what site portal? my.cui.edu. They want us to push everybody there, right? So just like there's a Blackboard widget right now on the My CUI page, there's going to be a Canvas widget there in mid-fall. So, but I never use that anyhow. I just type in CUI.black and then it pops up Blackboard. The same thing will happen with Canvas, obviously. So this is the dashboard. And one of the things that I like about it is it shows you all the published courses that are visible to students. So you and I, remember, we go up to the little lock in the top right-hand corner. I'll show you how to make it available a little bit here. But when you're looking at your list on the landing page of Blackboard, you have to look at the little parentheses that says that it's not available to, right? Here, you know right away, there's your published courses and there's unpublished courses right there. If you are the type of instructor who likes banners, right? We in OI have spent a long time over the years making banners for the courses. They are wonderful. They're great because they easily identify which course you're in right then and there. That's one of the things Canvas doesn't do well with. It doesn't do well. And you say, wait, John, I think I remember seeing this. You said something about using a UCI template and you stole from them and then you made it yours. We borrowed it and because it was in Canvas Commons, that's another wonderful repository of work done by other instructors and other institutions that is given for free. So we literally said, oh, thank you very much. We will take that and apply it. It's basically a landing page in the course that had, we made it all pretty with prettiest stuff. But it's not really accessible to the instructor. You have to be a course designer or an admin to be able to work with that. So also that landing page was only useful for the first couple times a student went in, because immediately they would exit out of that page and go to the content pages. So once they knew about the course, they didn't need to see that pretty landing page all the time. It was a nuisance. We actually reached out to Crean Lutheran. That's where my son goes. That's where Glenn's son goes here. Anybody else's kids go to Crean Lutheran? Yep, Ben went there. So we actually talked with them, and they had landing pages up until this fall. This fall, they decided to get rid of them because so many people were complaining about the extra click, Administration was complaining because they couldn't control centrally those pages. The IT people would have to get involved and make those changes. So we're not doing a landing page for those couple in here who might have had one. I think, Mark, you had a nice, pretty landing page on yours. So, man, that stinks. Well, you have some control on the dashboard here. The dashboard, you can come up here and make your own banner, your own little card that you can put in here if you would like. So it's a bone. There's your bone, throwing you a bone. It's not a banner, but it's some creativity there. So I'm sure our artistic people may be able to come up with something better. But FYI, this is where you're going to identify the courses. And by the way, I didn't do any of those. Canvas picked those pictures and stuff for us, except for integrated curriculum methods there. So it picked them. You can easily see there's a differentiation between the courses. Look on the left-hand side here. On the left-hand side, this is a stationary, unchanging system menu. It does not move, it does not change, and it's consistent no matter where you're at in Canvas. No matter what course you go in, we're going to be able to see that, which is kind of nice. There's less clicks. It's harder for people to get lost, which is kind of nice here. Some of the things that are of interest across all courses here are the calendar. So in your course, you're going to see that you can put due dates just like you can in Blackboard, and they show up on this master calendar for each one of the courses, which is kind of nice. So you could put something on it from this main page here. For those that have super eagle eyes, you might see on the right-hand side some names of courses on the right enrolled in. So you could do it from here. Most instructors are going to create a due date inside the course or an event inside the course that automatically populates. But where do the students go to see it? Well, right on the left-hand system navigation. You don't have to find it in your course in this location and go to your course and find it in a different location. It's centrally located forever and ever in all courses. Inbox. So this is equivalent to the send email feature in Blackboard. So if you want to communicate with your an individual student or the whole class, the send email feature is going to be your same equivalent in Blackboard. And just like Blackboard, keep in mind, just like Blackboard, it will use our Gmail system to send everything out. But it does keep a copy of it here, which I love. Blackboard drives me crazy in that I got my inbox full of stuff and I got to organize it and all that kind of stuff. But this was from the pilot, right? So nobody said anything bad about me. But some of my students here that I communicated back and forth with inside of the course using the email feature. Kind of cool. Oh, this is kind of nice here. History. If you jumped around from course to course trying to figure out or doing stuff, and you need to get back to something you just did or recently did, that history is kind of nice. It shows you where you've been and you can jump back to it. So for me, it's kind of useful and helpful, but that's what the history is. It just shows you where you've been. Hence the name. Commons, I'm just going to tell you because I strongly recommend that you either go to or watch the recording for Clean Canvas. My colleagues in OI, Seema, Alex, and Sarah are doing that session, and basically they're showing you how to get help. Besides some good course design concepts, they're going to show you where to get help in Canvas, which is one of the reasons why we chose Canvas over some others, is because it has a very large help presence, right? There's so many people have used Canvas. You can literally just Google and probably get your answer super quickly. But in addition, what we really love about Canvas is the sharing ability. Their whole university, the whole individual instructors can put stuff in Commons, and it's just that, it's common for everybody to use. You can use entire courses if you want to, or you can take pieces of their courses and put them in yours. With a click of a button, it's pretty slick and powerful there. You know, why reinvent the wheel type of thing. So I'm not going to go too much in there because I'm pretty sure the colleagues are going to talk about that. We and OI have benefited from this as well. Okay, let's come back here again. I am going to jump over to Blackboard. Here's a sport technology class, a master class here. And this is what I meant by templates, by the way. If you're teaching undergrad, you're like, I don't remember seeing that. If a program has gone through the OI course development process, you're going to end up with something like this here. So we have the course menu or course navigation menu, is what Blackboard likes to call it. And there's that banner. There's that lovely banner that watch for it. It's not going to be there. Spoil it for you when we do the migration for you here. So just keep in mind how this looks. I'll scroll down here a little bit. For those that teach in the masters, you're very familiar with this format. We're going to do a little comparing of what comes across and what doesn't come across. This doesn't all come across. Content does. So if you're worried about losing content, thank goodness every one of these we've done, the content has come through. Yay. We have to do some tweaking with it afterwards here, but that's to be expected. It's different elements here. So let me talk about how you can help yourself in this process. When you end up getting a sandbox, and it only work, this process I'm going to show you will only work if you have a Canvas course. If you don't have a Canvas course, there's nowhere for you to import to. So keep in mind, import requires you to have a Canvas course. Besides, Canvas can't get in, right? But that's important because it works a little different in Blackboard here. On the left-hand side, under the control panel, we have our packages and utilities. Packages and utilities here. Then you have one option, menu option. It says export/archive. When it finally gets there, let's talk about the difference between an archive versus an export rate here. Export package versus archive. Archive takes not only all your content and structure with it, it takes all student data with it. Now, I see some happiness there, and I'm going to crush it. I'm going to step on it. That's great internally for us. For internal purposes, it's great because we can then take that course and then and give it to somebody else and somebody blew up with it and all the student data is there. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but even other LMSs, when you do, it's not just us. When you do an import of an archive, it cannot take student data with it. So when you get that course over in Canvas, you see all the structure there and all of the content, yay, but none of the student data is there. So I'm going to stop for a moment and I'm going to talk a little bit about how that can be a little bit of angst, because I know a lot of you, Teresa, you're one of them. I know a lot of you have student data that is in there to use for tracking purposes and all this other kind of stuff. Two things. One, preferably you take this year and you go outside of the outside of the LMS, and you and I talked a little about Google Drive as a possibility, right? But that takes some work in learning possibly a new system, right? And you have to learn about a team drive, so then you're not the sole responsible person for it, and others in the team have access to it even if you're not here anymore. So that's one thing. And inevitably, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to move to something like that or reconstruct it in Canvas. And you say, John, you told me that you're contracting with K16 or whatever to do migration and maybe host our Blackboard courses for 2 years for legal reasons. Half of that is correct. We now are no longer are going to use K16 for importing process, because Canvas, thankfully, they've been through this process with other schools so many times. They've created what's called an API that will connect to our system and pull stuff over from us. And actually, you have to do some programming. Aaron in IT, data services, knows how to do that. So he created that, and we can now pull all our courses over. So it's going to save the university a lot of money not to have to pay them to bring courses over for us. So yay, praise the Lord for having smart people like that. The storage or the access to student data is still happening. So for 2 years, the university is going to pay K16 to host a Blackboard-like, Blackboard-esque environment, Blackboard Light environment that will allow us to take archives, put them in their system, and then be able to access the student data. Because if you remember on the timeline, we lose access to Blackboard June 30th. No more Blackboard after June 30th. It's gone. They will turn off access because we're not paying them anymore after that. We no longer have access to it. So please keep that date in mind, because there's no much wiggle room on that at all. So we will then take archive courses that we deem, if you come to us and say, hey, I need access to such and such data for whatever reason, hopefully it's important enough for us to find it in the archive and bring it in and search for it in some kind of way. And we're worried because he hasn't seen this environment. They've only told us about this environment. We don't know how easy it is going to be to access it. So number one, please try to use this year to get whatever student data out you need, so we don't have to rely on that method. Keep that in mind. By the way, I get requests all the time from students, hey, I need access to a previous course to get my stuff out of it, a paper or something like that. It happens all the time. Really, they should be the ones that are responsible for that, but it happens. Or syllabi, right? A lot of times, is George here? George has done a great job in the School of Business. He requires their prof to submit to a Google Drive all things. So he can quickly go down and look at all of the syllabi from the instructors, which I thought was kind of a nice section. So if you can, please get the stuff out ahead of time if you need it here. So if not, we've got 2 years after that. But the bad side for those that have got a lot of information is you've got to put it somewhere else, be able to have it accessible. Either do a Google Drive or a Canvas again, because I'm guessing we're not going to leave Canvas anytime soon. It's going to be a long process. So I'm going to stop there for a moment. and let the questions fly or the tomatoes fly, one of the two.
You showed the calendar option earlier in Canvas. On the student side, on your calendar, will it show all the due dates for all the courses?
Yep,
Sounds very-
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep, one-stop shop.
For archiving on the drive, but can you have to do it for each individual assignment, or can you do it as a package?
Oh, you mean student data?
Yeah.
Yeah. There is an option to download all in the grade center. But I'm guessing it's gonna have to be named correctly, right? If naming conventions, like if they didn't put names on submitted documents, that's kind of concerning.
Grades or like actual papers.
The papers, so you can download the actual documents submitted, but I don't know about you. I used to always require first name, last name, the name of my class, the semester, the year, that's what I wanted on all the submissions, because I would manage it way back in the olden days via email type of thing, and I need to know that. With Blackboard, it was like, well, they submitted it, no matter what arcane name they came up with, I knew it was theirs. So that's my fear for those that have not, the students have not named it for you to identify. Lori first.
But when you, let's say you want to batch download all the papers for a particular assignment, when it comes in, it's got their e-number with it. So like, even if their name isn't in it, their e-number is.
That's good.
So it's still.
Traceable.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a pain, but like, you still have a way to identify that with that student with their e-number.
You could,
As long as it downloads it in the same way that it does when you're doing it for one.
and
assignment.
maybe this may be something that the data team can add to.
To like test.
Yeah, well, yeah, and see if they can add another column for first name and last name, maybe, but the default doesn't do that. You don't have, but as long as we have the e-number, I guess that's better than nothing, right? Yeah.
So when we course copy our stuff from Blackboard into Canvas, pretty much everything will be like the grade book, for example. All the columns and tabulations and saving from the grade book will transfer over to the grade book in Canvas the same.
A lot of it will, and I say it that way because all your assignments and stuff, I'll show you, I'm gonna go into Canvas here, I'm gonna show you what it looks like here in Blackboard versus what it looks like in Canvas. It is not the same, but all discussions and assignments, those come over fine. But things like calculated columns, like nursing is big on this. They have subtotals for different things left and right all over, which is great for the student. Now, Canvas builds that in, but you have to make sure you assign things correctly to their built-in categories. But if you're used to customizing to the columns, it's sort of not there. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to compare Blackboard to Canvas with this course, and you can see it.
Okay, so there's a corollary basically for everything, including the week by week schedules in Canvas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, because we're going to see what happens to this course when it gets migrated here in a couple minutes.
Will safe assignment continue as is?
No, we will be using Turnitin.
Okay.
So Turnitin will be our new plagiarism detection, but it works the same way as a safe assignment. So when you create an assignment in Canvas, it's going to ask you, do you want to do Turnitin? Check it off, and the same thing applies. So there's no additional steps. The report looks a little different because it's Turnitin versus safe assignment, though. But yes, you'll still have plagiarism detection.
Everything they would have submitted on Blackboard.
You can download as you probably know, in the grading area, you can download their safe assignment order. I don't know if you can do that in mass or not.
You said there's gonna be a sandlot, Bill, is everybody in the class gonna roll in the sandlot soon, or should we ask who we want to start?
Oh, you will have to have the sandbox course will be for individuals who ask for it.
Do you need to ask?
Yes, now keep in mind, in one of my Detective Tuesdays, I mentioned we will be mass migrating from spring of 2021 all the way through spring of 2023. All those courses will be migrated over, so you don't have to go get your previous courses if you don't want to. I recommend you do, so you can start it on earlier, but that will happen. That's gonna all be there, so you don't have to worry about, hey, John, I taught 50 courses in the last 2 years. You tell me I have to do all this manually? No, that'll be done for you, but a lot of people that have the leisure of a few extra minutes here and there may want to start working on their course now, because you can download it yourself or export it yourself and bring it over.
But not teach in it yet.
Not in the
That's
fall,
the-
and officially,
For undergrad.
correct.
For anybody.
Yep, for undergrad. Oh, for anybody. And fall is nobody, with the exception, because we promised some of the pilot instructors who are teaching the same course that they could use that in the fall or spring, because you took the extra time to do that. Painful as it was for some periods, and joyful as well.
So I just went to CUIinstructor.com and nothing comes up, not because I don't.
You don't have an account. You don't, unfortunately, you do not exist in Canvas's eyes. I affirm you. I know you're here. Rachel,
So we have many courses from over the years that we want to have a record of. Would you recommend we use the package, export package, or the archive? What would you recommend?
well, good question. Two things. I talked about archive. So I told you what archive is. It's everything with students, but it doesn't do you any good in Canvas. What we're going to go through the process is export, which gets all the content, just doesn't bother bringing over the students. So it's a smaller package size. With that said, we have right now archives, a lot of archives from 2009 all the way up through 2019. We have those already. So those courses you're talking about, we could go into our cold storage and we can get those and import them in. I will also be passing around electronically a form this next fall asking those of you who have courses for students or staff or whatever, please list the course ID of those that you want to bring over, because that mass migration only works for term courses, the way it's set up, because every one of you that have their own support courses have them named differently. Oh, yeah, and that's okay, but we want to help you make sure that you get those. So we're going to make sure that you give us all that you want, and we will bring over anything you want. But just so you know, the term courses, they're getting bulk migrated. They're up to 2019, they're already archived. Doesn't hurt to put that on the list though, because you never know a hiccup on when you're bulk importing thousands of courses, there are hiccups that happen. Mark.
With the fact that in Canvas you got master courses that then, change them, they change all the others.
Blueprint courses.
Does that factor into what courses they may or may not want to create?
It won't, we won't differentiate that on the import. We're just bulk migrating them on in, because 2 years of courses actually doesn't take up that much of room.
I taught one class 5 times over 10 years. I may not be all by.
Yeah, we're gonna bring whatever you taught in the last 2 years. Because it's harder to go in and alter the file to bring in the pieces of a 2-year period or whatever. So we're gonna just bring it all in and you'll have access to it. You don't ever have to touch it again or use it again. I don't know how many of you go into 2-year-old courses in Blackboard. Right? Yeah. Kim, you've been so quiet over there. Yes.
Well, that's my personality. On announcement. I believe that the setup is that you can only attach one file for an announcement. If I want, is that something that you can make sure that you can attach multiple files per attachment? That's question one.
Well, let me answer question one. I don't know. I don't know
And the second one is, if you're teaching multiple courses, when you set up an appointment, there's a drop down that you can select which courses that you want to send that email.
Yeah,
And sometimes the default is only set up for that one course, although you have an option to set it to all courses. that you-
yeah.
Is that something that can be fixed? So if you're teaching multiple courses, you can select, like I'm teaching ACT 211 2 courses. Can I select two of them? So it automatically sends out two instead of me having to go into cameras or two.
Yeah, right now, you can only do the one at a time or all, right? That's just a limitation. With that in mind, by the way, Mark, please remind me, Blueprint, I want to tell them I didn't finish yabbering about that.
Yeah. That's an area teacher.
Yes, help. Right down in help here, there's a couple things. Report a problem. By the way, if you run into problems, please use this feature, report a problem. Yeah, but the one I'm looking for is right here. Submit a future feature idea. So how Canvas has done so well is they do a good job of listening to their clients, right? But your needs, that feature for you may be super high, where for you it may be super low, and they need to collect data on you know where they need to spend their time on, right? They have limited resources, just like all of us do. So please use that submit feature and report a problem, but use the submit feature option to be able to improve the community, right? We want to make the community better. We want to make the product better. So that would be our into it, because we don't, on the back end, there's no like checkbox to say allow multiple courses or anything. It does, the feature doesn't exist, I should say. Before I forget, Blueprint, but Mark was talking about, he was one of our pilot instructors in the spring. Thank you, Mark. One of the things that Canvas has that will probably have to be controlled by program directors is the ability to have a master course that then connects to term courses. So let's say you have 7, MCA 510 courses going on at one time. You could take the master, the MCA 510, connect it to those 10. We're seeing if there's a way that I can automate that. They haven't even looked at that yet. Right now. We can manually do it. That's what we did with Mark's here for some practice stuff. But anything that is done in the match then propagates out and changes those term courses. Now, the program directors decide, okay, I've pushed everything out, chopping that connection. Individual instructors go forth and mess it up. Or they can say, no, I'm going to stay connected with that in case I need to go ahead and update things and all those. Or somewhere in between, where you can go ahead and say, this part of the course, you can change instructor. This part of the course, no, we don't want you to touch instructor. Keep your hands off of that. But at the moment, we don't see a way to, we're hoping that it can be done in mass like that through an import file, but IT hasn't figured that out yet. Right now, you as a program director can do that, right? Oh, that's another thing. Canvas has this beautiful ability to do a hierarchy of roles. So a lot of you are course admins. Well, that's yay, that's great. But if you're a course admin in nursing, you can come over to my ed course and see all my stuff. I don't want you looking at my stuff. How bad of an instructor I am. That's bad. So Canvas allows you to go ahead and set the hierarchy up so that only your program directors can see only your program courses, which is kind of nice. So that's one way of controlling those who have course admin. Plus, it's a security thing. A lot of people feel offended that they can't be like system admins. Don't you trust me, John? Well, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with if your account is compromised. Now that poor account can go in and destroy the whole system. Not a matter of trust that way. Did I miss somebody with a question?
I was to say the benefit, it might not be so true at the graduate level, but I have 3 sections of 4 with the one master, the blueprint. I should make the change there, and I don't have to do it 3 separate times, it just saves lots of time.
Yeah.
And is that live, that's an option live during the semester, 'cause right now I think all my course leads, making the changes ahead of our course copies for the next term. So we have masters for every course, but then something comes up during the semester, they have to make a neat shelf, and then from shelf, so now we're just at live.
Yeah, so at the moment, that would be a program director responsibility. So you'd have to make that connection for it to work. Maybe I was gonna be able to figure that out. So,
So for the, when we were talking about the archiving and the student data and stuff, if over time we already downloaded student assignments and papers that we use for assessment as we went, and we don't really need, so it's kind of not an issue if we don't care about that student data. coming
Yep,
over,
doesn't
unless
matter.
we- Okay.
yeah, because
So if we need to pull that information for assessment or whatever, or tracking or.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And the process I'm gonna show you next, it doesn't matter if it's an archive course and an export course, doesn't matter, because it's only gonna take the content, it's gonna ignore the student data, because it has nowhere to put it. So let's get going here. Let's get the stuff from Blackboard. I want this course to be over in the Canvas course here. So I went, as a reminder, I went down in Blackboard to packages and utilities, down to export/archive. That's where I went. And this came up. Ignore this, ignore the man behind the curtain here. These were past exports that I did. One of them was the pilot, actually, for the spring. But how did I get those? Well, if you take a look up here, I'm not going to do an archive because I don't want the file size to be any bigger, because you just told me, John, I can't bring the stuff over anyhow. So if I do export package, let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit here. There we go. I haven't changed anything. Copy only links to course default directory files, or copy links and include copies of the files in the course default. The same thing below with outside there. We have not run into a situation where we've had to change this. All the content is stayed in the course. When people have uploaded their own stuff to it, it's been in that location. All is fine. We have not really taken advantage in Blackboard. I don't know if it's an advantage because we hate their storage prices they charge us. So it's a good thing. There is the ability in Blackboard to have like it's more of a central storage area of files and then connect to them outside of the course. That's what this stuff is talking about. You don't have to worry about it because we past have always done individual instructors, individual stuff being uploaded to that course. So just leave the default setting here. Yay, less for you to have to worry about here. So I didn't change anything here. I strongly suggest, as I do in course copies, just choose select all. Just choose select all. You'll get everything you need, and you say, oh, I see some empty check boxes or things that aren't checked right here, or radio dialed here. Doesn't matter. They're okay. When you're course copying, this makes a difference on discussion boards, but remember, we're not bringing any students over, so it doesn't matter. So the only thing I did is chose select all. That was it. And then there's a submit button. I click submit. I don't want to repackage this again. And you're gonna see in about, depending on how big your course is, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how much stuff you have. If you're Dean Wiesemeyer and you got a bazillion things in there, you'll see that this magically will appear. And actually, if you leave this on the screen and you're waiting there and say, John said it was only 15 minutes, I've been waiting here 45 minutes, and the screen hasn't changed. Just refresh the screen. Hit the refresh button, and then you'll see that support clock go at the top there. This one right here. So these are past ones here. But this one right here, you need to get over into Canvas. So if you click this, you'll see, for those that have eagle eyes on the bottom left, it downloaded that file. You have to take it from Blackboard and you have to put it on your local computer first. It's a two-step process here. And so there's no direct connection from Canvas, from Blackboard over to Canvas. Download that package so it's on in your downloads. I didn't change it here. And then we're going to go get that next. Key pointer view, control panel. export/archive or archive/export. Select all. Those 3 steps. And then down. So let me jump over to the dashboard. We've got 5 minutes here to show you what this thing is going to look like. I created this test course here, this test import of Blackboard archives here. This is a blank canvas course. Think sandbox. This is your blank sandbox course. By the way, I'll create as many sandbox courses as you want. You might say, John, one's not enough. I've got 10 courses I want to start with. Yay, I'll create all 10 for you. Doesn't matter. So from here, look on the right-hand side. So before I forget here, the green is the system menu navigation menu, right? The words on to the right of that are the course navigation menu. This is the course navigation menu. Unlike Blackboard, you and I cannot create custom course navigation menus. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Cannot create custom course menus. Week 1, week 2, week 3, instructor information, start here. You can't add that to the course navigation. That's off limits. Just can't do that. We can do LTIs to Pearson and McGraw-Hill that might add some to that, but that's not a user. So I'm going to go over here to import existing content. So the second button, we move the mouse around so you can see this. Import existing content. When I do that, it says, okay, what do you want to import? We're going to go ahead and choose the type of file that we're going to import here. So you're going to have eagle eyes. Let me see if I can, let me zoom in more here. We're looking for the one, write this down if you're writing here, if you can see this. It says Blackboard 6789 export. Say, John, we're on Blackboard SAS. You can tell them SAS, Blackboard SAS. That's true. But behind the scenes, it's Blackboard 9, actually 9.1 here. So as long as you choose Blackboard 6789 export zip file, it's going to work here. So it wants to then have you choose your file. And where did it put it? It put it under your downloads folder. I'm on a Mac here. It's the same on the PC, by the way. It always, we click on the, unless you've changed the default routing, it's always going to go to your downloads folder here. So I'm going to choose this one, click open. What do you want to bring over content-wise? All content, or do you want me to go in and allow you to pick and choose certain pieces of it? It's always, I strongly suggest you bring everything over and then get rid of stuff you don't want when it's over there. Because it's a pain if you have to do the import again and I get duplicates. So just bring it all over, delete it when it's in the course itself. A recommendation. Okay. We don't care about assessments with matching IDs because it takes care of that if there are multiple assessments. It in the background changes those IDs for later on. You can play with this, adjust events and due dates. This is kind of a cool feature. Blackboard actually has it too, and it works sort of good. It'll try to adjust to the next semester for you. It's okay. So if I click import. Well, that was pretty fast, wasn't it? So I come back to the dashboard. It's churning in the background, by the way. How long is it going to take to bring over? It could be a minute. It could be 15 minutes, depending how much stuff is being brought over. I don't want to wait. So last night, I did that. See this test 5? That I used that same export file that you saw there. So I want you to take a look at this MCA 540 course because there is no course navigation menu, right? That from Blackboard. None of those week 1s, week 2s, week 3s, week 4s show up there, but they do show up in the middle of your page. The main focus point for students and you look. So what you need to understand with this picture here, look at instructor area here, look at get started, look at meet your instructor. I'm going to click here. Look on the left-hand side, get started, meet your instructor, syllabus, join. All of those have now shown up on the middle of your page. These gray bars, can you see that they're gray? Yeah. These gray bars, Canvas refers to as modules. Think of them as folders. A module is a folder that you can put pages in. Well, what's a page, John? Well, pre-launch items is a page. Blackboard Collaborate Ultra Help is a page. Boy, that's old. Department of Faculty Training and Development, that's a page. So it took, let me go to instructor area over here so you can see. Meet your instructor area. If I click this and zoom in a little bit, pre-launch items, Department of Faculty Training and Development. We come over here. That's what these are here. I'd already gotten rid of Collaborate Help on that other file because it was old. Those items on the page become individual pages here. Look down here where it says get started. It says unnamed page. This is one of the things I talked about where it'll bring the stuff over, but you may have to do some massaging. Well, you might have to click on that and edit it to be able to change the name of it to week 1 topics or whatever it might be. So we're over time. This is by far an overview and the first of many times we will get together. So I'm going to stick around. I've got to do a 2 o'clock one. Thank you for showing up and come to me with questions afterwards as well. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you, John. Excellent.
Thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sheila. Dashboard reset. So all good to go. I'm listening. Let me just connect back here. Yep.
Yeah, so if I first sandbox, start moving something over and stick around with it. So then later you ask me, what do we want to bulk migrate? I just don't pick that first, because I'm already doing it.
Yep.
Right, so what do I want to bulk migrate is just everything else that I'm not already doing.
Yeah,
Right?
you get correct. If it's
Okay.
beyond the mainly, you'll get communicated about this. If it's before spring of 2021 and you want us to bring it in, we'll check to make sure it was archived for you. So you can say, hey, you told me, John, I was in here. I heard you say that you
Right.
archived stuff from 2009, but I want you to check to make sure that something from 2017 made it over.
Right,
Please ask.
okay,
Because, you know, bulk migration things have issues sometimes,
yeah,
right?
so we have to go back and look, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Glenn, what's happening?
Well, I don't quite get it. Hopefully I'll get it later.